Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be exploring the neighborhood that I grew up in here in Anchorage, Alaska. That neighborhood is called Mountain View. So for those that don't know, I grew up in Anchorage. I moved away in 2003, and this trip that I'm recording now was only my second trip to the city in that many years. So I wanted to check out the neighborhood, see what it looked like, how it's changed, and give you my perspective on what I think about it. This video was recorded on May 14th, 2025. It's about 5:52 p.m. We're going to take a little bit of the longer route over to Mountain View today. I'm going to give you a look at what the city generally looks like, and we'll go from there. I'll try not to talk a lot during this video. I'll let you sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'll talk to you more when we get to the neighborhood. I'm not sure about anybody else, but if you grew up in Anchorage, coming down Minnesota, this used to always scare me as a kid. It was fun, but it was scary because it goes up in height, curves around, and it always felt a lot steeper when I was a kid, so I always thought we were in an airplane or something. But this is a cool little road. Westchester Lagoon was off there to the right, and this takes you right into downtown Anchorage. So here we are. This is the Fairview neighborhood of Anchorage. This is also traditionally a lower income, higher crime area. This was always kind of rough around the edges, especially growing up. On the left side of the screen there, you have the Black Angus Inn. We have a different name that we call it for those Alaska folk. But yeah, this area has always traditionally had a higher rate of crime issues, substance abuse issues, unhoused population. To me, it looked like it was cleaned up a little bit when I drove through here, but there were also several closed businesses, including one of the Cars grocery stores, which was on Gamble, and that was completely shut down. And I think not too long ago. And if you're moving up to Anchorage and you're wondering about healthcare, that large kind of brownish tan building in front, that's the Alaska Regional Medical Center. That's one of the large hospitals that we have here in town. We also have Providence Hospital, which is kind of more towards the east side over by the University of Alaska, Anchorage. And then further east towards the Muldoon area, we have the Alaska Native Medical Center. All right, so we are now crossing over into Mountain View. That blue building you see on the left there, that is Clark Middle School. That's actually where I went to school in the early 2000s. It looks completely different from when it did when I went there. My aunt also went there, I think in the 80s, I believe. But yeah, I went there for my middle school days before I transferred over to East High School. Pretty good school in my opinion. I liked it. And right across the street coming up here on your right side is the Red Apple. We used to shop there when I was a kid. It's actually quite funny that it's still there. I wasn't expecting that since it's not a fancy grocery store or anything like that. But here we are pretty much in Mountain View. This is Mountain View Drive in front of us, going east and west. So at this point, we'll have a little bit more narration as we drive through the neighborhood. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, anything, please feel free to ask. This is my unbiased opinion of just what I've seen from growing up there and how things have changed. So let's get to it. Just for the sake of mentioning, there's no rhyme or reason to my driving through the neighborhood. I sort of just went wherever I felt like I wanted to go down. So you'll see in this neighborhood, there's a mixture of single family homes, a lot of multifamily properties, and you're gonna see some streets look a lot better than others. Some have a lot of brand new housing. Some have a lot more boarded up housing. Some have a lot of junk cars out front and just sort of look more depressed. But overall, the neighborhood, in my opinion, it did look a lot different. Not for the better, but it still didn't look completely horrible. But you could tell the neighborhood has definitely seen better times. So up here, we're about to make a left turn. The road only goes north or south, but south there's blockades, so you can't get through. So you'll see starting to get some more abandoned buildings, some more of your generalized styled housing. This street, to me, had a lot more dilapidated looking homes. It was a lot closer to the park, which I believe is one street over, and that park does have a lot of issues, and I think that that contributes to the neighborhood not being as nice as it could be. So up here in front of us is the park that I was mentioning. I did notice there were quite a few people hanging around this area, and it's hard to see from this video, but off to the right, all in those woods were just massive encampments, bunch of trash everywhere. So I'm sure that that definitely plays into the kind of look and feel of the area. I will tell you, I did not see a lot of folks kind of just sitting on the side of the streets. Everybody tended to be hidden away, whereas here on the West Coast in the Southwest, it's prevalent, it's extremely visible. Homelessness is a very visible issue here. Anchorage, I didn't really notice that as much, but yeah, you could certainly tell that there was a lot more issues with that in that park. So here we have another abandoned apartment complex on the left. That's about the fourth or fifth one I've seen. This one probably looked the worst, had the most trash kind of around it. This one also had some gang graffiti all around it. So we've always had, quote unquote, a gang problem in Mountain View, although where I live now, I mean, comparing apples to oranges, it's obviously a lot worse. But for those that live in Anchorage and in Alaska specifically, you know, crime has kind of always been an issue, but certain kinds of crime. Violent crime is very high, but that's mainly due to assaults, a lot of domestic violence issues due to alcoholism. There's also a major issue, unfortunately, with forcing yourself upon another person. If you catch my drift, I don't want to put that on YouTube. And those bring up the crime stats significantly. Homicide rates are fairly decent. In 2024, they had 34 homicides, and the city had about, I think, 286,000 people. Their record, I think, was 37 or 38 just a couple of years ago. So as mentioned, you'll see this kind of blockade in front of me there. I noticed a lot of the streets started to have those. Those were not there when I grew up, so I'm not sure why they put them in place, maybe due to the crime. I know some of our higher crime areas in Arizona, we've actually done that to kind of curb crime and getaway vehicles and things of that nature. So I'm not sure if it's part of a beautification project, if it is due to crime or whatnot. But yeah, I noticed that. This big blue building right up here, that's where I grew up, right here on Pine Street. That one we're just passing now. Some good friends of ours lived across the street, so we used to walk through this area all the time, all the way up to the north end of the street here to play basketball and stuff at the elementary school. Walk over to it's now a Circle K next to the park, a couple blocks to the east, but it used to be called MAPCO. For us old-time Alaskans, when MAPCO was a thing. All right, so we're about to wrap up our Mountain View tour. Hopefully you have a better sense of what the neighborhood and the area looks like. So kind of based on my observations after being gone for 20 years, yes, it definitely looks a lot more depressed and not as nice as when I grew up there, although it was never really nice. Would I live there? Probably not, but I would never fault anybody for that. It is centrally located, but unfortunately, I think kind of gets forgotten about. So I hope this tour was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments.